Okay, in this short video, I'm going to walk us through how we can add an agreement to our account, how we can configure the different fields that we require from the contact before they can sign that agreement, and then also show us how we can actually add that agreement to a client or a contact, and then also track when they view that agreement and when they sign that agreement. So the first thing that we do is, as a super user in our account, we go down here to our account tab and we can see the contracts tab atop here. So I've actually got 3 agreements already dialed up here into my account. We can see that they're all being currently used and how many clients we've actually sent this to. Really importantly, with an agreement, we're actually able to change the status of a contact. So remember, a contact within Propora is either a guest. A guest does not have an email or any contact information, but they have been using the software as a guest user, and we are tracking that. The moment that they do move into a prospect, when they add their email or single logon via Google or Apple, they become a prospect. We're able to then also add a prospect directly through the API or manually through the contacts tab. But then obviously when they engage our services, they become a client. So this, for example, when they do complete this agreement and sign it with the e-signature, it automatically changes them in the system from a prospect to a client. We are able to view that agreement there, obviously, but once it has been assigned to at least one client or one contact, we cannot change that definition. It's static. So we come in here to add an agreement. This is going to be a testing agreement. I'll find on my hard drive a sample of our Ripehouse agreement. It's just a PDF document. You can have multiple pages, but it does need to be a PDF format. And this is where we're actually able to change the status of that contact on signing. You can leave it as is if you'd like, or you can change the status. So let's create that now as a definition. It takes us into the edit the definition page. This is a pretty standard form 2-page agreement that we have at Ripehouse Advisory. You'll note up here at the top that we do need to add at least 3 fields to an agreement before it becomes valid. So a date field, a name field, and a signature field. We can obviously add other fields, but we do require those as a minimum. Once again, we can change the status that is the agreement changes the contact to again in here. And we can really quickly and easily just click on signature, full name and date, and that just drops these 3 fields onto the agreement. We can move those around. We can move back and forth on the pages. We can line them up, and we can customize the fields here as we see fit. Now, one use case that we have at Ripehouse Advisory as an example is we sometimes would like to offer a client a discount, but we don't want to have different agreements for every different price point. So we get away with doing that by adding a text input field, moving that over the top of the dollar value, okay, changing the font size to be exactly the same as the fonts used in the agreement, and then changing the background color to, you can see here how I'm changing the background color to be white, and that is going to take the place of the text behind that field, right? So if we place this over the top of, and we need to line it up correctly, so there might be a little bit of going back and forth in editing it, you're able to line that field up, and you're able to put in a placeholder amount. 15,000 is our default fee, and we're able to default that to 15,000. So definitely have those 2 amounts as well. So set the placeholder to be your normal amount, set your default value to be your normal amount, and then we're able to actually preview that PDF. And so we're previewing it, and we can see that the field does jump down slightly when we go into the preview mode. It does take up a little bit more space. Now I've got too much, so we might need to play around with this for a little moment just so we know that we've got this lining up in exactly the right spot. I'm pretty happy with that. You can see how we can go back and forth to perfect the layout of it. Now that's saved. We can say that, sorry, that's saved now. That is locked in. We haven't obviously used this instance on a client record yet. To do that, we've got a client who's in our business. Okay, I've got a test client here already. They are already a client. We can add an agreement to that contact record in two ways. One of them is clicking on the agreements icon here and add an agreement, or we can go into the contact details and then we can add an agreement through this way as well. So when we add an agreement, we select the definition. It's found a text input for which we need to override the value for this client. They've got a really good deal. And then we are now going to send the agreement to that client. So they will receive an email and an SMS. They don't need to be logged in to be able to action that agreement. So that's, we're removing all friction, all barriers through that process. When they click on that link, so I just go into that tab, they're able to really quickly and easily see that agreement. They don't need to add their name and their date. They're obviously static fields. They add their agreement. We can see that the $9,000 has been overwritten. I haven't perfected the layout of that, but you can see that that can be lined up. And then when they complete that signature, it obviously sends them a copy of the PDF, moves them into the state that is based on them signing that contract. And you get a notification that you have had a client engage. Really importantly as well, it is set up that you receive a text message. So whomever the staff member who assigns an agreement to a contact, they receive a text message the moment that agreement is viewed. So you are able to keep track of the status of those things. So that's all done. The client now sees that in their own personal dashboard. It is forever an agreement that is now DocuSigned and attached to their account, and you're able to then coordinate that client going forth in the client pipeline.